Hello there everybody, my name is Adam Cleary and you can write a song about pretty much anything these days. Can't you? Taylor Swift does them about her own birthdays, Jay-Z and Kanye West did one about a holiday they had together, and even Oasis, they wrote a song that time about when you wake up in the morning and you got a bit of a, you know, stiffy. But it's not often that people write songs about wrestlers. Is it? Like, don't get me wrong, yes, 99% of all wrestlers' entrance music is about wrestlers, obviously, but normal bands doing normal songs for normal people, it just doesn't happen. But when somebody does, it's usually a certifiable banger. Sometimes it's a very obvious ode to a beloved star, sometimes it's a more subtle reference and you, well, literally need a YouTuber to point it out to you. Hello? Now, obviously, yes, we don't have the rights to play you any of this music because am I bollocks getting a copyright strike just to amuse you lot for 10 minutes, but thankfully, this is James Dowse from What Culture Music, and together we are going to absolutely butcher some of these. Number 10, Cheap Pop, Oh Paige.
Oh Paige, you really got a hold on me. Oh Paige, you really do fool me.
Now, if you've not heard of them, Cheap Pop are a wrestling-themed punk band who released one solitary album called In Gorilla, and on it there are songs about WrestleMania 3, about Mandy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, about The Undertaker, about Mankind falling off the top of Hell in a Cell, and a really nice little ditty about Daniel Bryan's beard. But the real gem of the album is Oh Paige, a heartwarming, infectious little ditty which is of course an ode to, well, Paige. Of course, it's the kind of song you could have only written about her like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, before things went, how do I put this, a little bit Del Rio. Number 9, VADERBOMB, J.Y.D.
It's the story of the Gigante! 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 It's the story of the Gigante!
Now, alright, you could be forgiven for being a little confused here because the name of the band is VADERBOMB, not the name of the song. And J.Y.D stands for, anybody? Junkyard Dog. So the entire band itself are a loving tribute to a wrestler as well as the track in question. And the band really do live this gimmick because during their entire duration they've worn lucha masks, Japanese masks, and so much of their work is dedicated to professional wrestling. And J.Y.D from their debut album is, as mentioned, a tribute to WWE Hall of Famer, the Junkyard Dog. The lyrics refer to two of the most important elements of his life. Firstly, that he used to like to dance with kids, and the second, that he died in a horrendous car accident. Number 9, 21 Savage, Ric Flair drip. Going to the jeweler with the AP,
yeah.
Sliding on the water with a jet ski,
yeah.
Trying to f you and your bestie,
yeah.
I'm a chopper with a scope, do not test me.
Yeah.
Ric Flair drip, go woo on a bitch. 97.50 with the coup on my wrist. Multi-million-dollar, I'm a fool with the hits. Jump up in the Lambo, drop the top, show the tits. Yeah, you remember this one? It was an absolute viral smash at the time. It's got something like nearly 200 million views on YouTube. Those are Simon Miller numbers, and it just had Ric Flair in it, doing Ric Flair things. And the thing is, if I'd sat down and said, you know what, at some point in this list, I really need to include a hip-hop song about Ric Flair, I would have been spoiled for choice because this isn't even the first time this has happened. The man has had near countless hip-hop tracks dedicated to him or his lifestyle or his attitude or his limousine riding, jet flying, and I can't remember the rest of the things, son of a gunnin'. Quite why the man has had such an influence over so many rappers, I don't know, but just go and watch this music video and it will explain something. Number 7, P.A.I.G.E, Terry Punk.
Terry Funk or Terry Punk? Terry Funk or Terry Punk? Terry Funk or Terry Punk? Terry Funk or Terry Punk?
Described by Colt Cabana in his own personal list of 15 wrestling songs he absolutely loves as just crazy, P.A.I.G.E are a New York punk band by way of Japan who quite regularly wear wrestling costumes on stage. Now, Terry Funk being such a legend in Japan, it does make sense that the group would like him enough to produce this 2-minute ode to him / massive assault on the senses. Now, if you want to sing the lyrics, they just go as follows, right? You ready? Terry Funk, Terry Punk, 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 respect. You write that down? Number 6, ANTISEEN, Cactus Jack.
big next step up the top of the stack. Even though it's the attack, my turn makes victim to step up the place. Back on the surface of pain, I'm the truth of that game. Cut the stuck, and bang!
Now, if you're not already familiar, ANTISEEN are a particularly prolific hardcore band who just happen to also absolutely love wrestling. As well as this one about Cactus Jack, they've done stuff about Terry Funk, Abdullah the Butcher, they've got a song called I'm a Babyface Killer, and From Parts Unknown. So basically, they just really love ECW. Oh, and there's one about Sabu as well. Missed that one. But their absolute best work in this particular subcategory of their best work is their 1993 hit Cactus Jack, which is of course a loving ode to Mick Foley's grisliest, scariest, hardcoreiest persona. It sounds every inch like what a song about Cactus Jack should, even if we've not quite done it justice there. Number 5, Bowling for Soup, Alexa Bliss.
And here she can even sing. She's the champ of everything. Hey, my dream to go be more like Alexa Bliss. I think those big lads want to drink her.
Now, some of the entries on this list are, of course, giant big odes to your favourite wrestlers. Some of them are more subtle, more psychological, more metaphysical points about the world at large, using a wrestler as a jumping off point. Hello there, 21 Savage. In Bowling for Soup's case, though, they use the song Alexa Bliss as a way to, well, presumably forget that they're all in their 40s and live out some kind of weird, horny, preteen, weird science fantasy in which the only word that rhymes with bliss is apparently bliss. The video is immensely weird and shot with the same kind of panache that apprentice candidates usually use to shoot some kind of misguided advertisement attempt. Now yes, the chorus is an absolute banger, I will not argue about that, but whatever Alexa Bliss got paid to be in this video, not enough. Number 4, Bruce Springsteen, the wrestler.
Then you've seen me. Better can make you smile when the blood hits the floor. I don't know what these lyrics are on about, Cleary. I don't like them. No, move on.
If you've ever seen a one-legged doll, then you've seen me.
Now, yes, I know what you're thinking, and you're right, this is attached to the movie of the same name, in which Mickey Rourke plays Rami the Ram Rama, or whatever he's called, a wrestler who was big and famous in the 80s, but is now in the present day trying to live out his glory days and eke out what he can from his career while his body and his life and everything else collapses around him. And of course, the boss, still the absolute undisputed master in taking the plight of the working man and turning it into a brilliant, brilliant song, penned this to go along with the film. And somehow, despite Mickey Rourke getting nominated for Best Actor off the back of it, the song was snubbed at the Academy Awards that year, and I don't know why. Like you've heard from our version, it's brilliant. Now, I don't want to go so far as to say this is the single greatest song ever written about the theme of wrestling, but it certainly does run Nikki Bella's You Can Look But You Can't Touch pretty close. Number 3, Nova's The Crusher.
Do the hammerlock. Do the hammerlock. Do the hammerlock. Do the hammerlock, you turkey necks.
Now we're going all the way back to 1964 here for a garage rock smash from the Novas dedicated to The Crusher. Not to be confused with any subsequent Crushers or people who had Crusher in the name or anything like that. Just this guy, this man here, The Crusher, this one, he is The Crusher. Now if you're not familiar, or fair enough, you just weren't alive then, The Crusher was a beer-drinking, brawler kind of guy who was famed for having a big mad old punch and doing a lot of full Nelsons, but was so famous that the band singer even used to imitate him on stage, telling the audience to do the hammerlock, turkey necks. Now I did want to include the Cramps on this list because they do a version of this song, but I mean, credit where it's due, probably should include the original version and not one of the covers. But interestingly, the Ramones recorded a song about the same guy in 1995, so take your pick. Number 2, R.E.M, Man on the Moon.
Monopoly, 21 checkers and chess. Mr. Fred Velassie in the breakfast mess.
That's literally all the wrestling to it. That's it. That's all. Now, yes, all right, the 1992 R.E.M. classic Man on the Moon is not about a wrestler specifically, it's about the actor Andy Kaufman, hence the Jim Carrey film of the same name. It's all about that guy. But of course, one of the most famous things about Kaufman was the wrestling elements of his act. He would do these staged fights with women on stage, which got all kinds of newspaper headlines, and eventually led to that feud with Jerry the King Lawler. And this, of course, led to that incident on Letterman where he wore the neck brace on television and he demanded an apology from Lawler for breaking his neck, and the two got into a heated and violent altercation, and the media, not knowing what kayfabe was, reported on it as if it was real. That's wild when you think about it. And as a result, the R.E.M. song does reference this stage of his life, talking about Andy Kaufman in the wrestling match and some stuff about Freddie Blassie as well. And just, the more I do this entry, how is Andy Kaufman not in the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame? How? Number 1, the Mountain Goat, the legend of Chavo Guerrero. Look high, it's my last hope. Chavo Guerrero, coming off the top rope. Look high, it's my last hope. Chavo Guerrero, coming off the top rope. Just a quick lesson for Bowling for Soup here. If you happen to be big fans of wrestling and a particular wrestler, this is how you do a song about it and them respectively. And this is the song the band wrote about dealing with different issues throughout the course of their life while they were watching wrestling growing up. They were big fans of the territories back in the 70s and 80s, and they're talking about the experiences they had at the time through the lens of pro wrestling. It's very clever. It talks about how his stepfather was never there for him, so instead he turned to pro wrestling to try and find a strong male role model. And yes, if you're not there already, apologies to Chavo Guerrero, this Chavo Guerrero fans, it's about Chavo Sr. And that's the reason it's number 1 in this list, because it talks about watching pro wrestling as an experience that we all share, how we let it into our lives, how it affects us, how it changes us, how it shapes the course of our life. Plus, there's loads of indie wrestlers in the video, like Joey Ryan, and I thought that was fun. Oh, and while we're here, another quick lesson for Bowling for Soup, because they also released a little ditty called Song for Sasha Banks, and nowhere in the video to that do they do a weird CGI render of her breasts. Write that one down. So there you have it, those are 10 songs about wrestling you need to hear. Yes, I made that decision for you. I am your real father. Let us know what you made of it all in the comments below. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And while you're here, subscribe to What Culture Music. We're working our asses off out there, and none of you really seem to appreciate it. Well, I mean, like 50,000 of you have so far, but more would be nice. Thank you very much. And get me on Twitter at Adam Cleary. Thanks to James Dowse for his help with those songs, and I will see you soon. I'll see you tune. That sort of works. Bye.